Hello everyone, my name is Ruonavaara and I am currently in MBA 710, which is Professor Day's Leadership and Management course. So the purpose of this assignment is to share my leadership philosophy and describe some times when I've held various leadership roles throughout my life, and make recommendations to UHeart's undergraduate students on how to look at their future career plans and how to tackle some of the choices that they'll have coming up in their future, and provide some advice and knowledge about leadership that I have learned so far in the graduate course, and ultimately to share what social responsibility means to me. I have a few notes written down on ideas and topics that I want to make sure that I cover with you today, so I apologize, but that is why you will see me briefly looking down at my notes. So a little bit more about myself. I graduated from Stonehill College, which is a small school outside of Boston, in May with an undergraduate degree in accounting. And then that same month, I started the MSAT program here at UHeart. So I pursued the master's degree right after I completed my undergraduate degree in order to obtain the 150 credits needed for the CPA license, and also, I hope to obtain more business and accounting knowledge in order to help me pass the CPA exam, which is my next goal. So, after completing a summer internship in assurance at Ernst & Young in Hartford, I was offered a full-time position there, and I'm very excited to start my professional career at EY in January. So, because I have not had any I've yet to start my professional career, I unfortunately cannot offer too much advice in that. However, I have held various leadership roles throughout my undergraduate career and had plenty of experience in leadership positions that I have learned from greatly and that have helped me shape my leadership philosophy today, which is what I wanted to share with you. So one of my most notable leadership roles to date was serving as a team captain of my softball team during my junior and senior year at Stonehill. I was chosen by my coach both years for this titled leadership position. However, I feel like I held a leadership role all 4 years I served that I played on the team, despite only having the titled position of captain during my junior and senior years. So, I regularly had to deal in this role with concerns and complaints from fellow teammates regarding my coach, the schedule, the equipment, conflicts with school events, practices, other girls on the team, basically anything you could think that a group of 20 girls ranging in age from 18 to 22 could complain about. Believe me, I've probably heard it. So I think as a leader, I was able to solve my teammates' problems efficiently and effectively while I served in this role. However, thinking back on my time serving as a captain for those 2 seasons, I really wish that I served a more true leadership role and, really tried to motivate my team and bring about real change on the team, as opposed to more serving as a manager and, being, the perfect scheduler and organizer and solving everyone's problems. I was never a really real vocal leader, and instead relied, and I like to have my actions speak for themselves. So therefore, I think a lot of my role as a captain was also to lead my teammates by example. So what I mean by that is it was just really simple day in and day out activities, such as, always being to practice early, maybe staying after to take extra swings, carrying the equipment, even though, that was supposed to be the freshman's job, always respecting, coaches, umpires, the other team during games, hustling on and off the field, just, those little things that I didn't necessarily have to vocalize as a leader, but something that the other girls could watch me doing and then model their behavior after it. And that's really the approach that I took. I feel like I took to my leadership position as a captain during my time in undergrad. So the second noteworthy position I held during my senior year of undergrad was serving as the chairperson on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which was also known as SAC. So SAC is a NCAA recognized group on every college campus where one student athlete from each varsity program at the school serves on a committee and represents their sport. So not only was I able to represent my team, my softball team, when I was on this committee, I was also able to represent the school and represent our conference when I attended regional meetings. And that was definitely an honor. So in this role, I had the opportunity to work with all the student athletes at the school, and also I got to communicate with key members in high up positions in the athletic department. And the main goal of this group was to improve the lives of student athletes on campus. And that is something that I definitely cared greatly about. And so it was really exciting to be able to serve in this role. During my senior year when I was chairperson, my school was in the middle of a multi-million-dollar renovation of our sports complex. And I got to ultimately collaborate with the rest of SAC to make important decisions on what student athletes felt should be included in that renovation. So that was really cool. Ultimately, this leadership role required a lot of organization and communication. For example, SAC was responsible for voting on proposed NCAA rules and legislation, and it was my responsibility as a chairperson to gather up the opinion of each team on campus and then have one collective vote representing the school's choice. And this was never an easy task. It took a lot of skill aligning everyone's feedback, thoughts, and opinions, and, having one collective vote that served the best for everyone at the school. But however, despite these challenges, serving as a chairperson was extremely rewarding. I got to oversee the work of fellow student athletes serving on committees such as Make-A-Wish and Team Impact, and we were able to raise a lot of money for these very worthy causes. And, overall, I'm really proud of the changes we were able to make in the lives of student athletes on campus in the 3 years that I served on the committee, but most notably in my final year that I served as a chairperson, because I was really able to see all my hard work translated into actually making a difference. Okay, so moving on to discussing a bit about if I had known then what I know now, what would I have done differently? Well, the biggest piece of advice I would give myself is to not sweat the small stuff and instead focus on controlling what I can control. So, even though I was in these leadership positions not too long ago, I've grown to realize that, all the small little details you're stressing over or worried about, in the end, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it just really isn't worth it. Growing up with my life revolving around sports, having a lot of ups and downs with my personal success and, the team's performance and success, I've learned that sometimes there are things you can't control and therefore just can't get shaken up over them. For example, I was a pitcher all throughout high school and college, and a lot of my success depended on whoever was the umpire behind the plate for that game. So, sometimes I would get so frustrated if an umpire wasn't calling a pitch that I felt was a strike that it would completely throw off my performance for the rest of the game. Now that I'm a bit more mature, or at least I like to think that I am, I know that I should have just never let this happen. It's just not realistic to expect everything to go your way, whether you're in a leadership position or not. And I wish I had acted differently in these situations. I know that it's important to just stay calm, roll with the punches, adjust accordingly, and just ultimately move on and learn from it the best you can. Instead of dwelling in my particular situations on the pitches that an umpire wasn't calling strikes, it would have definitely better served my time to figure out maybe, what pitches he liked to call strikes and throw those instead of getting frustrated. I have a pretty funny story about one particular situation when I was in college that I really could have depended on this advice. So my freshman year, we were on our way to the first game of the season and we got lost. We were in Florida for my team's annual spring break trip, and I was the starting pitcher for the first game of the year, which was super exciting, but also a lot of responsibility and really stressful. I was a freshman, and this was my opportunity to, show the coaches and the rest of the team what I had to offer and could dictate, my playing time, a lot of my playing time for the rest of the year. So on the way to the field, I realized that we definitely should have been there for warm-ups already. I had my eye on the clock, and I knew that, I took a certain amount of time to warm up, and we definitely should have been there, and we clearly were lost, and I started freaking out. Some of the older girls on the team even started joking with me that I should start stretching on the bus because I would have no time to warm up before I started my first game. And, while I was getting pretty nervous, we eventually got to the field, and all my coach said to me as I was getting off the bus was, "Well, kid, adapt and overcome." And at the time, I was thinking to myself, seriously, this is all the advice you have to give me? But, in the end, he was exactly right. I could do nothing about the situation that just occurred, and that's what I had to do, was adapt and overcome. I had to use the time and resources that I was given and just control what I can control in that situation. And I believe that people who understand this concept will serve to be much more effective leaders, because in the end, the only things you can control are your own effort and attitude. And I really wish I had realized all this back then, because it would have saved me a lot of worrying and stressful situations throughout my 4 years. So moving on to talk a bit about my leadership values and beliefs as I see them now. I would say the most important thing is to be authentic, because this is the only way for your behavior to be sustainable as a leader. In my opinion, followers want to be led by someone who is genuine and not someone who is constantly trying to act as though they are someone else. I think my leadership philosophy is to be the best version of yourself you can be and not try to act as though you are something different from that. Followers want someone in charge who is consistent, and the only way I feel that a leader is truly able to do this is for that leader to be authentic. Another important aspect to leadership, in my opinion, is having an open mind and being willing to listen to others and make changes when necessary. Nobody likes a leader who thinks they are a know-it-all. It's important to be willing to communicate and be responsive to others when you are in a leadership position. And I think this all circles back to what I said earlier about being genuine. I have worked under plenty of leaders who claimed that they were responsive to feedback. However, when it came time for it, they never truly listened or took anything that I said into consideration. And this is definitely frustrating for followers. I think it's a major flaw and something that is important to a leader's effectiveness. In addition, I feel that your success as a leader is either limited or propelled depending on the attitude and skills of your followers. Therefore, I feel it is important for a leader to value building up their followers, and a large part of this is building confidence in your followers. If your followers have confidence, they're going to do those tasks and those responsibilities that you give them to a much greater degree. It rests on the leader to be able to instill this belief in others around them if they want to be successful themselves. A leader cannot accomplish everything. They must learn to delegate responsibility because, and just trust others around them, because if they try to do everything themselves, eventually their time and resources are just going to become too strained. So, in order to reach the point that they feel that they can trust their followers, and they have to develop them, and they have to develop their followers to have the needed skills in order to accomplish the roles and tasks that they give them. So I feel like social responsibility as a leader is part of this effort and should be valued by all leaders. My understanding of social responsibility is that each individual has a duty to share their knowledge with others and act in ways that benefit others in their community. For example, this may mean sharing expertise about a certain topic in order to benefit others, or providing advice and recommendations to others who have less experience in order to develop and allow them to grow, in order to help them develop and grow. So I feel if you are taking action to improve the welfare of those around you by passing your knowledge on to them, then you are being a socially responsible leader. So if I could recommend one thing to any undergrad listening to this today, it would be to not be afraid to take on that leadership role. As I indicated earlier, I've only been out of undergrad for about 5 to 6 months, so I can really relate to what a lot of you are feeling and the pressures that you're going through and the choices that you feel like you have to make in the next coming months and years. And there is a lot of stress about, picking your major or your potential career opportunities, but there's so many chances in undergrad in order to develop those skills that you can be confident when you're making those choices. So for instance, I originally didn't want to be the chairperson of the Student Athlete Advisor Committee that I spoke about earlier because I was intimidated by the responsibility that came with it. And to be honest, I was always so scared of public speaking. I didn't want to have to stand up in front of all these people at meetings and present awards and do all the things that being the chairperson required. However, I couldn't be, any more proud and happier that I decided to take on that leadership role because I was able to develop a lot of important skills that I will take with me into future leadership positions when I am in my professional career. So, for example, I was able to develop a lot of important skills, something as, big as public speaking for me, which was always a weakness of mine, and also just various little skills such as maintaining email correspondence, when you're talking with people back and forth, and just being more comfortable in a lot of those situations. So in the end, I'm really excited that I decided to take on that leadership role, and you just never know what you could be missing out on if you pass up an opportunity such as that. College is the perfect opportunity to develop the important skills that you'll utilize for the rest of your life and in your professional career. So I highly recommend, if you have any opportunity to take on a leadership role, whether that be, becoming the president of a club or a group on campus, or, even taking the leadership role in a team project, or just, a group project in class, you can really develop a lot of valuable skills from those positions. So find something you're passionate about and don't be afraid to take on that leadership role when it comes, because you definitely will not regret it. So the other piece of advice I would offer on how to look at your career choice is to keep an open mind. Going into undergrad, I thought I wanted to be a marketing major. However, I had an internship in marketing, and I ended up really not liking it, which is why I switched my focus to accounting, and that's where I found my passion, and here I am today. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is don't think that, if you're going down one particular path that you absolutely have to stick to that path. When your interests are bound to change as you grow, and that will likely impact what you want to pursue for a career. So the last thing I want to touch on is something that I have learned so far in this course and feel is very important to share with you today. I learned that there is no single list of characteristics that every great leader holds and demonstrates. There are a range of leadership styles that fit all types of people and abilities. While some people naturally show leadership qualities, they might naturally show enthusiasm and charisma, many traits and qualities of leaders that we've discussed so far in this course have been learned and developed. This means that everyone has the potential to become a leader if they want to. The most effective leaders take their weaknesses and turn them into strengths, which is what I hope to do as I finish this semester in the MSAT degree and start my professional career in January, and take with me all the skills that I've developed in leadership and take them into future leadership roles that I may be in. And, just because you think you're not a leader today does not mean that you can't become one in the future. So I wish you all the best of luck as you finish your undergraduate career, and I hope you take advantage of all the leadership positions that may come your way, because I promise that they will be worth it in the end. Thank you.